as we continue to track the debt ceiling negotiations, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy seemed to strike a rather positive tone last night, saying that Republicans and the White House negotiators actually are moving in a positive direction. But as I mentioned a while ago, most members of Congress now have left Washington, D.C. for the Memorial Day weekend, but they are on notice that within 24 hours they could be called back. Well, joining me now to discuss this is U.S. Representative Dr. Andy Harris. He's a member of the House Appropriations Committee. He's also the co-chair of the House Pro-Life Caucus and a member of the Doctors Caucus as well. He represents Maryland's 1st Congressional District. Dr. Harris, great to see you. Welcome back to Washington Watch.
Good to be with you, Jody.
Well, listen, let's jump right into this. How was it on the floor today? What's the attitude that you're hearing regarding the debt ceiling?
Well, I have to tell you, on our side of the aisle, we're excited because we think we are going to get some spending reductions. We are going to show to the American people that we actually stand up for them. That this idea of raising the credit limit without spending control, without controlling your runaway spending, is a very bad idea for the country. We did go home, and I think the leadership made the right decision because June 1st is an artificial deadline. The bottom line is we have plenty of revenues coming in to pay the interest on our debt. There is zero chance of default. People are doing that and ginning that up. They're using that word just to try to make us give in to a clean debt ceiling increase, and there is no way that's ever going to happen.
Yeah, that's a good point. It really is fear-mongering, really, with all this talk of default. We had former Congressman Dave Bratt on last night, and he said exactly the same message that you were saying in that regard. So what's the latest that you're hearing? I mean, we have a lot of folks a lot of members who are traveling back home. Are they prepared to come back? Do you think that's a realistic possibility?
Well, since we have a new rule that you have to see a bill for 72 hours before you vote on it, there is no way anything would happen before midweek or late in the week. I honestly don't think I can't imagine that they're going to come to a conclusion of the negotiations before then, because honestly, the Democrats still don't want to decrease spending. They still want to fund the Green New Deal, the so-called Inflation Reduction Act. They don't want to give in on very important points that I think they will in the end. So this will take a little while. I think the decision was correct many, many times in the past. And when you were in Congress, the Senate would pass a bill and go home. And that's what we did. And I think that's the right thing to do. Make the Senate take the next step if necessary. And again, June 1st is going to come and go. There's going to be no default. And then everybody is going to realize that this was a straw man set up purely for fear mongering.
Well, I tell you, Dr. Harris, you and your colleagues there on the Republican side have tremendous leverage right now to make some historic decisions to literally spend less in the federal government and to cut our out of control spending. And we're just proud of the way that the unified party of the GOP right now is standing in one. President Biden did make some remarks today in the Rose Garden. I wanted to play a clip and get your reaction to this. Play clip 2, please.
Now, I want to be clear that the negotiations we're having with Speaker McCarthy is about the outlines of what the budget will look like, not about default. It's about competing visions for America.
All right, what do you take on that? Do you take a little bit of optimism there?
Look, the president is trying to backpedal us as fast as he can from his position for 97 days of not negotiating at all with Speaker McCarthy, of saying that it has to be a clean debt ceiling. It is not going to be a clean debt ceiling increase. There are going to be spending controls attached to it. And the president, again, look, the president reads his poll numbers. A large majority of Americans agree that if we're going to raise the credit limit, we have to control spending. And it's not just the dollar amount, it's what it's being spent on. The woke policies of this administration are not only going to bankrupt us monetarily, they're going to bankrupt us spiritually and morally.
Well, I could not agree more, Andy. I think you were spot on that. And yet it's amazing to me how the Democrats continue their push on this wokeism and funding it and forcing it down the throats of Americans This is just something that cannot be tolerated. As you said, not only is our economic system at risk, but our moral and spiritual foundations as well. There are reports that many Democrats are now using the media to try to message directly to the White House how upset they are with the negotiations that are taking place based on what you just said, that they don't want to stop or slow down spending. Is that the impression that you're getting?
Oh, absolutely. Look, they're frustrated. They're still in the stage of denial because they didn't believe that the Republicans could get together and pass that debt ceiling increase with reasonable spending restraints. They still think that somehow that we should be doing a clean debt ceiling increase. 70 or 80 of them took to the floor for 1-minute speeches after the session today, all with the same message that somehow those nasty Republicans were going to defund veterans and seniors and children and all this nonsense. The bottom line is we're calling for returning to spending levels of 6 months ago, like literally 6 months ago. And they would say that the sky is falling if that happens.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And in fact, just to go along with what you just said, I want to play another clip of Hakeem Jeffries, the minority leader, who, like you said, among many other Democrats standing up, slamming Republicans and all this. Play clip 3, please.
What is clear to me increasingly is that many extreme MAGA Republicans have made the political calculation that a dangerous default and crashing the economy and triggering a recession is in their political interests. That is unpatriotic.
It's amazing that it is so unpatriotic and extreme to cut out of control spending.
Well, what's amazing is that obviously 60% of Americans are unpatriotic because they agree with our position. They agree that you have to have spending control. Look, Mr. Jeffries, again, I respect him, but he lives in a fake world where he thinks it's all monopoly money we're dealing with. It's not. It's people's future. It's inflation. And again, it's what this spending is being spent on. We have to control it, and we have to divert it to where it needs to be and not to the woke policies which are harming America.
Absolutely. If I can, Congressman Harris, I'd like to switch topics real quickly. The House Oversight Committee is continuing their investigation into the Biden family corruption. And of course, so far, the FBI has been stonewalling. What is your take? What are you hearing? And what's going to happen here with the FBI? Are they going to comply at the end of the day?
Well, I think we're going to have to turn up the heat through the appropriations process. I hate to say it, but we're going to have to make them feel some pain because they'd much rather investigate parents standing up at school board meetings than Hunter Biden and the Biden family's criminal complicity with foreign agents. This is an FBI that's out of control. They don't know what their priorities ought to be. Again, they're carrying through the woke policies of this administration. They don't want parents to have rights. They want the state to take care of children, and they'd rather investigate parents going to school board meetings than Hunter Biden collecting $1 million board positions salaries when he knows nothing about the industries that he gets the board position in Ukraine, for example.
Well, and not just the money in his pocket, but the high risk and possibility that our national interests and national security had been compromised in all of that. So it's do you think there's an appetite, as you mentioned, to go after the FBI funding wise? Is there an appetite there to see that happen?
Oh, I know there is. They want to build a new FBI building, for instance, that literally is going to have a footprint larger than the Pentagon. So just think about that for a second, because the FBI is our internal surveillance organ. That's for internal justice. They want to actually make that bigger than our Defense Department headquarters. We're going to say no. We're just going to, for instance, stop funding that. Any talk of an increase in size of their headquarters or a new headquarters. But I think we also need to reorganize the FBI. And again, the men and women who are in the rank and file of the FBI are, work hard. They uphold the Constitution, but the leadership levels have been infected. There's no question about it.
All right, we've only got about 15 seconds, so quick answer. The House today passed the Halt Fentanyl Act. What would that legislation accomplish?
Hugely important. What it does is it makes those people who deal in these drugs, these very, very dangerous drugs, it's serious criminals. It treats them like serious criminals and gives them hard minimum sentences.
Outstanding. Thank you, Dr. Andy Harris. We appreciate you joining us on Washington Watch, and thanks for your tremendous leadership in D.C.
Thanks, Jody.